Hello, good evening. This episode of Pop Punk and Pizza is sponsored by Pop Punk Takeout, which is a monthly subscription box filled with merchandise from pop punk artists from all over the world. So you can learn more and you can sign up at poppunktakeout.com. You can also follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Pop Punk Takeout. And I'll dive in a little more to exactly what you can expect each month if you do sign up for the subscription service from Pop Punk Takeout. We'll get into more of that in about the middle of this episode, okay?
I'm going out, I gotta go. I'll bang a rang on the radio. So turn it up, I'm telling you. I think I'm ready for something new. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.
You're listening to Pop Punk and Pizza with Jacques Lamour.
All right, welcome to Pop Punk and Pizza. I'm, of course, Jacques Lamour, your host. So excited to have you here for this episode. Now, we are, or I should say, I'm pleased to welcome Eric, Dalton, Matt, and Brandon of emo alternative rock band. I believe it's, I forgot to actually ask them this before we went live, but I believe it's the Maguas, and I could have completely butchered that just now, but we'll get to that in a minute. So the Maguas or the Maguas from Scranton, Pennsylvania to the podcast. Let's bring them on. Welcome, guys.
What's up?
Hey, what's going on?
So did I say it wrong? Is it Maguas or Maguas?
Maguas.
Yeah.
But that was-
Maguas.
That was close. That was really
Okay.
that was good.
We've had a lot
We've had
worse.
so much worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was like, because I was on the phone with your manager one day, and he was telling the name to me, and this has been a while back now, so I can't remember exactly how Eric pronounced it, but I knew it was something along those lines. And I did watch the acoustic session that you guys put out not too long ago too, and you know, I know, like Eric, right in the beginning, he said the name of the band, and I'm like, I should know how to pronounce it by now. So, but before we get into the thick of things, let's go around and everyone introduce themselves, just so everyone kind of knows what you sound like.
Cool.
Eric, you can go first.
All right, I'm Eric Miller. I sing for the Maguas.
Hi, I'm Brandon Austin, and I drum for the Maguas.
My name's Matt Jenkins, and I play the guitar for the Maguas.
And I am Dalton Rissinger, and I play guitar as well for the Maguas.
Awesome, and we have almost everyone here.
Right, everyone.
Yeah.
Who are we missing?
His name's Luke.
Luke.
Luke,
Okay.
you know,
The
he's got
bass,
stories.
of course, right?
It's always the bass player.
That's
Those darn bass players, man. I'm just kidding. So I know this is like a super stereotypical question, but I'm honestly very curious to know where the Maguas, where that name comes from, because I was doing some Googling before we went on, and I found a couple different things attached to that name. So I'm curious to know, like, if it comes from any of those things I found online.
Well, I could take this one away. So the short answer is it comes from The Last of the Mohicans, the movie,
Okay.
after the antagonist Magua. So the long version of the story is when we started the Maguas, I texted 7 people and everyone said yes. And one of those people, who is not currently in the band but came to a couple practices, our friend Tommy, he comes from a gigantic family, and all of his uncles would go around when they were kids and they would call themselves the Maguas. And so it was his idea, and then we just stuck with it because, I don't know, it seemed unique and we just got used to it.
Oh, okay, cool. I wasn't sure if there was like a deep meaning, because like just reading about the novel, it sounds super interesting because it's actually set at the time of the French and Indian War. So we're talking like, that was that the 1700s or the 1800s? I always forget. I think it's the 1800s, right?
It was right before the American Revolution.
Oh,
give
so
you
it was the
history.
1700s.
History.
I'm a history buff.
10 points for Dalton.
I was gonna say we're getting a history lesson here. Yeah, it's 1754 to 1763. There you go. Yeah, I do remember now it's coming back to me. Now I'm thinking back to history class in high school where they talk about how it was like what really led up to the Revolutionary War for
If you want this
America.
to be a history podcast, I can talk all about it.
I mean, I love history, so I would be more than okay with that,
I've
honestly.
watched a
So.
lot of oversimplified history videos on YouTube.
Or I always think of the Ancient Aliens guy, from
Yeah.
the History
Oh, yeah.
Channel or whatever. Is it from Ancient Aliens? I don't know. Something
I
like
think
that.
so.
Okay.
But we all know who we're talking about. The guy that's like totally fried looking. He's just like, it was aliens.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, that is cool to know. I figured it was probably the novel that it was attached to, but for some reason I just had to know. It was like itching at me to know. So you guys are from the Scranton, Pennsylvania area, which is where we all know The Office is based for the TV show. So, is anyone fans of the show? And how do like locals feel about The Office and the connection to Scranton?
Yeah. So I was one of the people who never watched it because of the connection. I just was never interested. I was like, you know what? I'd never stop hearing about this, so I don't feel like watching it. But then I watched it, and I am now a fan of the show.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So was it like, I don't really care about my hometown, I don't want to watch this, or what was the turnoff?
I don't know. I think it was just the constant like, oh, like The Office.
Yeah.
Every time I said I was from like the Scranton area.
And I'm sure you still get it to this day, even though the TV show
Absolutely.
Oh God, yeah.
It's
All the time.
Yep.
yeah, I mean, they're obviously the show's no more, but it's a huge part of pop culture now.
Mhm.
It always reminds me of like when Friends ended and that like carried on forever. And then I feel like after Friends, it was The Office that like took over pop culture,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about Dalton, Matt, or Brandon? How about you guys? How do you feel about The Office?
So I never I watched like season 1. I don't know why I never got into it. I think I just kind of missed it throughout high school, but it was always like a thing going through college. Like, hey, I'm from Scranton. Everybody's like, oh, like The Office, and I'm not. I'm like, yeah, that's right. Like, if you could identify Scranton like that, I'm like, that's great, because
Yeah. I mean, I watched it like when it first came out. Like I like legitimately loved The Office all the time. And then I kind of lost it for a little bit because like you said, everybody talks about it. It's the only thing that's interesting that's ever took place in Scranton. So like everyone's like, hey, Cooper Seafood and like Poor Richard's Pub. It's like, yeah, man, like totally, I get you.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I still love the show. Like I thought it was great. And a lot of the places that they talk about are in Scranton.
yeah.
The people that were in the show, like that, the guy that plays Kevin, he's like a huge hit around here. He comes back and he bartends like during some of our biggest weekends. Like the places sell out.
No
Like,
shit.
it's going crazy. Yeah. It's
Wow.
there's a lot of fun to it too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You guys should do a an emo alternative version of the theme song.
Yeah.
That
we should.
Go after it.
just when shows come back and you hit the road or whatever, that can be like your shtick, like your opener, like
Mhm.
yeah, we're from Scranton, yeah, we know, and then you can just
Just play it.
then just start playing the song and then be like, okay, that's all we want to hear now about The Office. That's it.
Yeah.
No-
No more.
No more Office talk, no more Office reference. We've heard it all, believe me. But I have not seen every single episode of The Office. I've only seen, I can't even tell you how many, but I've definitely watched the show and have always cracked up watching it. But I was just curious, like how locals felt about the show since you guys are actually from Scranton.
Yeah.
It's cool to know that some of those places actually exist. just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they do
Yeah.
in the TV show.
I'm pretty
so.
sure. Didn't they mention our high school in the show?
Yeah,
Which
their
is-
high school was
Yeah,
on
they
the
do.
show the one
Yeah,
time. They
that
went
was
to
kinda
Valley
neat.
View High School, which is like
Yeah.
Literally across the street. Over
Yeah.
So,
That was kinda cool.
but besides The Office, like, what else does Scranton have going for it? How big is Scranton?
It's like the 8th largest city in Pennsylvania.
yeah.
It's,
Let me tell you, it's the 6th because I looked that up.
Oh,
I don't know why.
See, moving up in the world.
Don't know why I did.
Amazing.
I mean, Scranton is very. It's just the perfect town to write emo music in. It's
Great.
there's not much to do except drink, have a good time with some good people, and there's a lot of good people around here. But man, there's not a lot to do around here.
Yeah.
You know, it's just all that damage that The Office did to you
Yeah.
guys.
That's
And-
right.
Going
and-
through here.
and that's why there's that, the emo
Yeah,
feeling to, the Maguas music. It's just,
Exactly.
because of the office.
yeah,
All because of The Office.
it's all because of The Office. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So, like this last week or two, especially this week, it seems like there's been more like tours announced and festivals and things like that for the summer and for the fall. And I'm curious, like, how are you guys feeling about it? Because when I see these announcements and things now, it just feels so weird to me. Like, shows? Like, this is
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
this is a thing. Like, it's just like I don't know. It's like I'm excited, but then I'm like I just feel weird. Like, how are you guys feeling about it?
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Yeah, we're definitely ready to go.
Ready to
I
go.
think it's weird because same thing. Like, I can't personally picture myself right now at a show, but there's also nothing I want to do more than go play a show. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
In terms of like when I'm kind of, I was talking to you guys about this, about like shows coming back now. I'm kind of this point where I'm watching to see kind of how it goes in the next month and see who's still we said almost who's still standing, who's still open in terms of like
Yeah.
venues for our size of the band. Because now everybody's gonna want to go out and play out. Everybody's gonna want to go open for XYZ band or go tour and do all this stuff. And it's kind of trying to navigate that whole landscape moving forward into the fall and seeing what the future holds for us. Because we're ready to go, play, go see our fans. But it's a little tricky at the moment,
Yeah, that's the problem is everyone is ready,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, how do we handle all of these bands that are coming at us? Like, how do we
Yeah.
get our name in the hat for, mapping out our own, whether it's a tour or it's just like small weekend runs in the
Yeah.
region.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you,
Especially this week, I felt it was weird because the government, what was it, the national government coming out and saying,
CDC.
CDC saying, oh, you don't have to wear a mask if you're vaxxed or vaccinated.
right.
And I'm still like, do I wear a mask in this place? And then I walk in, nobody's got mask. And then the next place you go to, everybody's masked up. And it's probably the same with venues.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Like, yeah,
It's not like set
It's
in
a weird,
stone yet.
like, you're trying to, sail through the murky waters right at this point. Like,
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
has any of the answers.
Yeah, it's
And
all
all I
unclear.
can tell you is I just want to play a guitar in front of people.
Yeah,
as soon as
seriously.
possible.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Eric? How have you? What's been your reaction seeing the announcements of festivals and tours?
Yeah, it's exciting for me for sure. It's good to just see it. I mean, it kind of trickled in a little bit, but I think especially in the last month or so, you saw a lot more volume as far as announcements. But the one thing I can't stop thinking about is, just the fact that the very last thing that we're all going to be doing again is packing into a room, sweating on each other, and like screaming in each other's faces. So I'm not sure how the beginning of that's going to look once it comes back, but
Yeah,
I'm trying to be hopeful.
honestly, I don't know if it's called PSD or PTSD or what, but like you
Yeah.
just bringing that up right now, the whole packed in a room, sweating on each other, like it kind of makes me cringe.
Yeah.
Like
I feel the
like-
same way.
like I'm kind of like I'm just like scared. Like it's
Yeah, like should is it illegal to like incite a mosh pit? While
Yeah.
we're playing?
Right? It's just that's why I feel so weird about all of these announcements. You know, like here, you know, I live an hour south of Chicago, and they just announced the Lollapalooza lineup today,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Saw it.
and I'm pretty sure also said that it's going to be full capacity. I could be wrong, but and I think there's something about getting a COVID test too, like before being allowed to come in. I don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure I read that it's going to be like a full capacity thing, and that alone made me think like it's like I'm almost like really introverted at this point, and I don't want to be like wall to wall against
Yeah.
people just because
Yeah. The
like
same way.
of that thought, like, oh no, I'm gonna get something. Like,
Yeah.
you'll be that guy who's like constantly like putting hand sanitizer on him.
Yeah,
That's-
we're
that's-
like,
It's just gonna be like misting that stuff in the air. Like, I'll have a can of Lysol, just be like, shh. You know.
Brandon used to do that before.
They'll start
COVID.
selling
Yeah, that's what they're gonna be like now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I was just curious, like to know if I was the only one feeling that way or
Mhm.
not. Like, you know.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the festival shows. You know, even if everything's back to normal, I'm interested to see, like, actually see how people stand now. You know, if they go rush up to the stage, I want to see if people instinctively stand farther apart now.
Yeah, right. And if they're even going to be able to, you
Yeah.
know, or actually better yet, it'll be interesting to see what the turnout will actually be.
Yeah.
You know? It'll be interesting to see how many people are actually way too afraid to go. And then I suppose that would leave room for distancing, you know,
Yeah.
even though they're saying, it's not necessary, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to say the least. So, you know, I was reading on Facebook, I think it was yesterday, when I posted about this live stream and podcast, and you guys shared it. You said you've been working hard behind the scenes on some cool content. So I'm like, what are they talking about? I want to know about it. Like, are you gonna like shed some light on this or not? Like, what's happening?
Yeah. Well, back in January, I guess it was, right? January 29th?
January.
We released our last EP. One of Us Is Lying in
November.
and we went back in with Nick Brzezzi, who produced that, and started working on some new music. And we have spent literally the past months. I guess it's been 6 months now. 6 months working on preparing all of that for the near future. Can't necessarily give a date yet, but we have, we did a bunch of videos, and we still have a bunch more videos to film, a bunch of photo shoots, and we're working now with the restrictions hopefully being lifted fully, working on maybe some tours and shows, and we've been kind of quiet. Typically we're like every couple of days posting kind of band, like always like kind of in your face, like we're right here, and recently we've been kind of like once a week, just touching base with our fans, telling them like, hey, listen, like we know it's been a little bit quiet, but it's really just because we're working our asses off doing other stuff,
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That we've been doing that are like,
It's crazy.
going to this place to shoot a video
Mhm.
for, this redacted song that
Yeah.
we talk about, and then, going here to not be able to talk about that. And it's like,
Yeah.
I am like ready to like tell everybody, and
Mhm.
I can't. I have to like put like a clamp on my mouth because I'm so excited for the new stuff.
Yeah, it's exactly how it feels. It's like rejected, I think is the word like cannot speak about. But we've been kind of teasing it for a while, and we like sometimes to throw out teasers, but we also hate it because we don't like dragging it out, But because of COVID and because of the way things kind of lined up, we only had with One of Us Lying, we only had so much content available at a certain point. We kind of had to be like, all right, well, what are we gonna do? So we decided to do the acoustic thing, and that was a lot of fun. These guys seem like they
That
had a
was
blast.
really the quality was really good on that, by the way.
yeah.
That was top notch.
Yeah,
thanks
we
so
have
much.
this team, Ionic Development. They do a hell of a job here in Scranton, and
Yeah.
they help us out on a lot of the stuff, like especially with One of Us Is Lying coming
Mhm.
out. And then for
Mhm.
that, like we set up, it was this cool cafe in our town,
Mhm.
and they set it all up, and man, it looked really cool. We really hit that like MTV Unplugged sort of thing that we were trying to go for.
Yeah.
And you did the audio for that.
I did. Yeah. I just made my interface, a bunch of mics, and they did all the video stuff, and I just mixed it together and sent it to them, and they worked their magic from there. But
That's awesome. I was gonna say, like, that was one of the as far as like sound quality. Well, even the camera work was really good too. But it was one of the best I've seen, like, through this pandemic. You know.
awesome.
So-
Thanks
I
so much.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So now Nick, you're talking about Nick from not Neck Deep. Listen to me, Man Overboard, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's him.
So
Papa Nick.
Papa Nick, is that what you call him?
Papa.
Daddy.
Okay, now
Something like that.
now I have all kinds of questions. If you're gonna be calling him Daddy Nick, like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, what's the exchange here, fellas? Or do I want to know? Do we want to know?
Get them. Yeah, at the first time at the lumber yard, he'd come in and he's like, "Oh, I took the kids to the Amish market and took the kids here." And we just started calling him Daddy. He likes it.
I think he definitely likes it.
He encourages it. He's all about it.
Oh
That's
my
the thing,
God.
like, we were all just like just joking around and having a good time all the time, and like he
Yeah.
just vibes with us so well
Yeah.
that we could just bust each other constantly and still like work on things very, very like
Yeah.
hard and
Yeah.
like in depth. But it's just
Brittany Edwards says she definitely wants to know.
Well,
You know,
Yeah.
this whole daddy thing.
How the hell did you say that? Oh god.
So you're saying if I wanted to work with Nick and if I really wanted to grab his attention, I could send him an email or a message saying, "Hi, Daddy." You
that'll
know,
work.
you think that'll work? That'll
I think
just
so. Yeah.
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 Then you tell him that
I mean-
we sent you and you'll be fine.
Yeah,
Like,
that's all
If
good.
you start the email off like that, he's definitely gonna read it.
Oh my God, man! You're just I don't know. I was gonna say, round of applause for that one. Cracking me up, man. Oh my gosh,
God.
that's too good. So what is your besides Daddy? What is your favorite thing about working with Nick? Like, what is his forte or his like signature or mark? You know, I feel like every producer, engineer, kind of has their signature when it comes to, like, when you're listening to something that they've collaborated on, you can always tell, like, oh, I can totally tell that Nick did this or Travis Barker did this, or, you know what I mean? Like, what's his signature on his work?
It's a really good question.
Eric, do you have an opinion on that? I feel like you work with, vocally. I feel like there's a lot of stuff there, but
I mean, I don't know if I had to say. I don't know. I think he just has so much experience. You know, like he understands what works and what doesn't, and he also has a really good ability. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I'm not in the room when he works with every band, but just from working with them ourselves, like you get the sense like he understands how to play to the best of people, and really like read the room and understand, because he definitely loves to bust us and we love to bust him, and like we have a very fun environment, but the work always gets done. I mean, it's always that first.
Yeah.
And I'm sure not every single band that walks in there's like always just like saying stupid stuff to each other and whatnot, but
you guys don't do
it's
that. You
because-
guys don't say stupid stuff
never.
to each other, right?
no, never. I think
didn't
that's
so.
a part of it. He really definitely read us quickly when we worked with him the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, he just has a lot of experience writing good songs, and so it's a huge help.
Well, here you go, David.
Yeah.
Andreas.
What's up?
David Andreas. Is that how you say his last name? I'm assuming he's in the band Deer Spring.
Yes.
Yeah.
He says he was 100% that way.
Yeah.
with them. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
said
It's a
he's the
comfortable
best.
environment.
He is the
Yeah.
best. But
I mean, I think the biggest thing musically with like Nick is he focuses, and it's a lot of things that we've been trying to do too, with like the hooks of the chorus and making it sound like we really focus on our chorus hooks, and like that's where I think when you talk about sonically where Nick like thrives is that everything just feels very important in those choruses, and I think that really shows on our latest album where like there's these big anthemic things that really shine through. At least when he's working with us, that seems to be like the number one thing that we focus on and trying to really hammer down and like, all right, well, what's the real important part of this song? What's our like our tagline that people are pumping their fists and chanting, you know?
Yeah. And another thing is kind of just playing off the last point I had. He has the ability to tell you what you are and what you're not. So like for example, the first time we went in, we had a song with Actions Speak Louder Than Words that initially had a 7/4 breakdown in it.
Oh my god!
And he was just like, "Yeah, so like, what's up with this breakdown?" And you know, as a singer, I went in there. You know, I was always a singer, like a choir singer, and I never really had like a rough and rowdy voice. But when we started a pop punk band, that's kind of what I tried to do. And he was like, "You don't sing like that. Like, just like sing normally." And it helped me sing better. But it's just because I had this idea in my head, and he was like, "Oh no, you guys aren't that."
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I remember I went through a phase where I was obsessed with the band Mest, and I like made it a point to sound as much like Tony Lovato as I could when I was singing, you know, and it didn't I couldn't do it because that wasn't what, you know, like I naturally sounded like, right? So it's always good when someone can kind of give you that outside perspective. But how does he present when like you're talking about that breakdown? Is it just kind of like, dude, this blows? Like, or how does he?
Sometimes, yeah.
He just
sometimes maybe, but I don't know.
He just gives his honest opinion as a songwriter, and he's very experienced at doing that. And after working with him, it's like, wow, I don't write songs the same anymore because I'm like, damn, like this part it's not needed, you know. He's very good at creating a song that makes sense.
It's a lot of joking around, but there's no bullshit when it comes to that. Like it's very much like we get down, like if something's not right for the song, he's like, we got to cut that. And like you can fight for it if you want, but also you got to trust, you know, the producer. You got to trust him. You know, he's like basically a sixth member of the band at this point with his opinions on our music. Yeah. And so when he says something, you kind of like take a step back, and you're like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Let's go at it. So like it's very open and honest, you know, and I think it has to be to make the best music possible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sure. Absolutely. Let's see, we got Eric, or no, not Luke. Luke, he's the bass player, right? Or is this a different Luke?
This is different, Luke.
Okay, he says, Eric is such a king, I want to give him a big smooch.
I will 100% allow that.
Dang.
Smooch is
all
bad.
right. I don't have a smooch sound effect, but I do have.
I got one.
There you go. There you go. Maybe a goat. I don't know. That could work. Oh god. All right, so we're about halfway through the show, guys, and I got to make sure that we recognize our sponsor for this episode, which is Pop Punk Takeout. Have you guys heard about Pop Punk Takeout at all?
No, tell us about it.
All right, so this is the coolest idea that I've heard someone come up with in a long time. So what Pop Punk Takeout is, it's literally a monthly subscription box that will be delivered to your door every single month, and it's going to be filled with all kinds of different merch from pop punk bands all over the world.
Ooh, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
I love that idea.
And it's
be my wardrobe for the month.
So like this is a shirt that I got in this first box, okay?
Oh yeah.
And then I've got, you know, this whole box is just an example of what to expect in the future. But there's stickers. This is the Pop Punk Takeout sticker. But then there's stickers from you guys might be familiar with the band Out of Time from Florida. Yeah. So got one of their CDs right here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then got a Out of Time koozie.
Wow.
There you go.
Nice.
That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
And it's got a little polar bear on it. I don't know if you can see
There you
that.
go.
Oh, it's a colorful.
Yeah. And then Off Guard, a sticker from Off Guard,
Oh wow.
There you go.
Yeah.
which they're actually, I believe, Off Guard is going to be on Pop Punk and Pizza next week, I think.
Awesome, yeah.
Alright.
Foreshadowing.
And then we also have, you would think, well, is this thing going to include vinyl? And it is. I got got a 7-inch here from a band called Bambies, and they're signed to I believe it's Rada Records,
That's awesome.
Nice, nice.
which is run by a one person, a wonderful. I can't remember her name now, but it's a one woman show, and I'm trying to remember her name. I've talked to her once. She was so nice, but it's the coolest looking little vinyl here. And then of course there's some buttons and some other stickers too. But so that's like what you can expect each month out of the Pop Punk Takeout box, which is rolling out here now. So if you want to get more information on this, you can go to poppunktakeout.com and you can sign up for their mailing list. And also, I'm not sure if you're able to buy subscriptions yet, but you can get all the details right now at poppunktakeout.com. Or maybe by the time you're listening to this episode, things might be up and running. You can also follow them on social media. Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok is at poppunktakeout. And I know they also have a Spotify playlist as well that you can check out a lot of the bands that I just showed. So what's cool about this is that people are going to be able to find out about brand new pop punk bands, but they're also going to get something from a band that they're probably familiar with, or maybe they already know, or maybe it's one of their favorite bands from when they were a kid. So check out poppunktakeout.com when you get the chance. So
That's sweet.
Awesome.
I think seriously, it was like a couple months ago that I was approached by Veronica and Scott, who are running this. I think it was even before the new year, and they were like, "So, what do you think of this idea?" And I'm like, "This is really cool." Like, they're like, "Do you think it would be a successful thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the coolest thing ever." So,
Absolutely.
so get on that. Maybe maybe you guys will be able to be a part of the box one day.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know that Eric knows about it, so your
There you
manager.
go.
So
There we go.
So there you go. But you have to bug him about it and be like, "Yo," be like, "We want on that box.
Give me the box, Eric.
Give me the box." Yeah. All right. Let's get back to. Oh yeah, here's Scott right now. Who I was just talking about, part of Pop Punk Takeout. He says, "I hope to see the Maguas in a Pop Punk Takeout box in the future." See?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
So there you go.
Awesome.
All right, we've got. I was going to say someone had a question here. Okay, here we go. How does the sound of the new record compare to the last one? Same kind of vibe, but more focused, or new direction of sorts, is what David wants to know. So for this,
Drum City.
what's that?
Drum City. It's
Drum
loud.
City. It's
Oh,
some
yeah.
really. Is it just Brandon the whole time playing drums and nothing else?
That's what it is.
The whole record is just me.
And Eric is just yelling over it. He's like,
Yeah.
It's just across
I
the board.
hit a crash once in a while.
that's funny.
Oh,
So yeah, what is compared to your last EP that was just put out last year? One of Us Is Lying. what does this upcoming EP sound like?
I would definitely say sadder and a little more complex.
Man,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sad
definitely
now.
a little darker. It's like I think it's a little bit more like mature in this type of like lyrical content that we go about. It's a little bit, it's really not so much a complete departure from the last stuff because it's not. There's a lot of ties to what you heard on One of Us Is Lying, but it is like a little bit more of a darker, like a heavier but not super heavy, more complex sort of feel to it.
Yeah, we definitely leaned, I think, more into that. I guess like that glum sound, where it's a little bit more of that like, drum guitar heavy driven, like kind of rock and roll kind of style, like it's that for us we leaned into emo and lyrically, and we definitely reflected a lot more on some of our own personal experiences in the past like year and a half and what we've been through, and I think we dug really deep as a band in trying to really understand what it is we sound like and what it is that the fans really enjoy, and trying to take that experience and present it to Nick in a way for him to help us take it to that like next level. And Nick actually just changed studios. He's now at the Gradwell House in New Jersey. And when we changed to that studio, there was also the opportunity to get more unique. We had essentially more time and more opportunity to do certain things that maybe we didn't have the opportunity to do before. So when I mentioned Drum City, I mean the drums on this record specifically are some of the best sounding drums I think I've ever heard in terms of our experience of recording and the sounds we've gotten.
I think a lot better equipment.
Yeah,
it was an upgrade across the board and that type of stuff that we ended up, having a record that sounds like more polished.
Right, and we've added some more ears into the mix in terms of like people hearing it prior to the finished product. So we have a little bit more input from people, and I think that's helped us really define what this next record's going to be, and we're so excited for it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you got me all amped up about it too, and and so is David. He says he loves the sound of that. Can't wait. He said maybe Nick will give us a preview when we go back in a few weeks.
Maybe Jaddy will hook you up.
Shout out to Dave and Deer Springs too. I think they were just there maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, so he knows exactly what we're talking about when we say Drum City.
Nice. Okay, here's another question from Brittany. It said, do any of you guys have a must-have or ritual before a show or after?
Oh yeah.
I don't know, drinking.
Drinking before and after, or just after? Or
yeah,
just before?
Before, during, after, the next day.
Yeah, just all the time.
Yeah, Eric had to have a couple Rumpleman shots.
That's right.
Yeah.
A couple shots of what?
Rumplemans.
What's
schnapps?
It's schnapps. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha. I didn't know people still drank schnapps.
Oh yeah.
It's something that Eric brought out, and then we haven't stopped.
Yeah.
It's all Eric.
Dang it, Eric.
It was all an accident.
Okay, so schnapps is a ritual. What else?
There's a lot of things I do. I always pack the car mostly by myself because I don't like people back in the car or setting up the drums. But one thing I used to do, I don't know if I'll do it continuing forward because I haven't done this since COVID, but I used to play without shoes on, which is like a unique thing. But then I would always like end up messing something up or getting too excited. And we used to play like cover shows a lot, like in the beginning phases of our band, and it'd be like 3-hour shows, and I'd be like, my feet would be like bleeding by the end of it all. So I don't know, maybe it's like full on original sets, like shorter sets. Like probably go back to that little. I just love the feel of like like my bare feet against like the foot pedal. I just really enjoy that.
I mean, I honestly, being a drummer, a lot of drummers I know either don't like to wear shoes while they're playing. I've met a lot of drummers like that. And they also always wear shorts.
Yeah, I also always wear shorts. Yeah, typically. Yeah.
You should see because he hits his and then he hits his thigh.
I do hit my thigh.
Bruise on his thigh afterwards.
Okay.
And I give him a shot of Rumplemans and tell him to get back up.
Yeah, Brittany says take them puppies off. Summer vibes.
Yeah.
She's all about the summer vibes.
There it is.
I love it.
Let's go.
Yeah. I
No,
also kind of. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I also kind of. I feel like I take a few minutes to just like totally isolate myself before we actually go on. I kind of just like doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think in my head thinking I'm like getting like quite literally getting into like a certain zone. I think it helps me actually just get focused and try to put on the best show.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of have to switch gears, especially when you're a DIY band. You're doing everything yourself. You're loading in your gear. You're getting all your stuff set up. You're like you're multitasking. You're thinking about all these things, and then you're seeing all these people at the show, or maybe you gotta talk to the stage manager or the promoter or whatever it is. So there's just a bunch of things going around. And you're kind of like, there's just all these things going on in your mind, and you kind of have to calm yourself down before you go on, and you're like, okay, remember, this is what it's about. It's about this moment on stage. It's not about, oh shit, I hope we have enough change at the merch table. Like, things like that. Or, oh crap, I hope we didn't forget the credit card reader or whatever, It's all those little things. And Van Full of Nuns says, pre-show routines are beautiful and unique.
Yes,
I absolutely agree.
Each one of us does like our own little thing before we go on. Not like super. I would never call my thing like a pre-show ritual or anything like that.
Yeah,
but
I think it would be cool to have a ritual.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
I just double check, triple check everything. I like to go around and talk to everybody in the venue beforehand.
He's the complete opposite of Eric.
Eric's like hiding, and I'm like waving to the bartenders. What's your name? I'm like, I like to acquaint everybody in the audience. I like
to
it makes
call
for a better
him,
show.
He's the senator.
Yeah.
He goes and he'll go up and he'll shake hands with everyone before the show. And it's just. I mean, I think we all have little different things that we do before a show to get amped up and get in that mindset.
Well, after the shows too, though, like one thing we started doing, I guess, more towards the end when we before COVID again, we would after shows hang out with a lot of fans, and they eventually have a drink with us or they'll buy merch, and then next thing you know, we're signing merch and giving away flags and doing all this stuff, hanging out. Our big thing is definitely fan experience. We love hanging out with our fans and spending time with them, even if it makes us late for the next show the next day or whatever. We'll figure it out, that kind of thing.
So what has been have you guys done any tours or just regional shows, or what was your experience before COVID?
We've done mainly regional stuff, playing around our area, like New York, Philadelphia. We've been to New Jersey and stuff like that. So basically in this tri-state area of the Northeast, and just trying to hit as many of those markets as we possibly can. Time's kind of tough with money and getting over to California and Chicago and stuff, places that we would love to play. But it's tough when you're doing DIY stuff. So we really focused on getting as solid of a base we could in the Northeast, and then we can sort of branch out from there.
Yeah, it's cool. Where you guys are at, you're in a perfect area to hit all those major points.
Exactly.
Yeah. DC and New York, obviously, and you're not far from the other. You've got obviously other major cities in Pennsylvania as well.
Philadelphia is a big one. Yeah. There's a lot of places in Philadelphia with a lot of people in our scene. I lived in Philly for 5 years, and we just have a decent amount of connections down there, and that's just one of my favorite places to play. The energy in Philadelphia is it's nowhere else to me. It's just it's different vibe. It's real salt of the earth, amazing type of people, and everyone's ready to go crazy. And that's my favorite kind of show.
Yeah, Philly is kind of like Chicago, where it's kind of like an epicenter of pop punk or just music in general. But especially punk oriented music. There's so many from the the smaller level to the bigger level. There's so many that have come out of the Philly area, or even Pittsburgh, because what Anti-Flag is from Pittsburgh, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, they played a show here once.
They played in Scranton a couple times.
Yeah.
But
I know that's going off into a little bit subgenre there, but not
Yeah,
specifically pop punk, but
Yeah.
but I mean, punk rock legends. If you
No,
ask me.
yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Have you all thought about a viral show or online show? You guys
about
didn't
it.
do any live streams, did you?
Oh,
I think-
we tried to do we tried to set up like a whole on before the acoustic set. We actually looked into doing like a legitimate, like kind of rent out a venue, like a big venue, and doing a live stream, like a full on show. And by the time we got into it and like kind of understanding the scope of what's available to us currently, and what it is we could realistically do at this time, we didn't feel like we could give out the quality product that we wanted to, if that makes sense. We kind of wanted to make it as best as we could, and we felt that at that time the acoustic videos were our best bet in terms of like finances at that time.
Not even just finances.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about quality, like there's not many places that were willing to just let bands like off the street come in and do a show like that. Like,
right.
if you're Silverstein, you can go and you can play a viral show in 7 different cities or whatever you want.
Right.
But when you're sitting in Scranton, a lot of these bars were struggling for anything and
Mhm.
weren't open, weren't allowing anyone in, and it's tough. Or even like any of the venues around here were just strictly closed up.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it became like a logistical nightmare to even try it.
Where we're gonna go? Yeah.
And,
Like,
it's one of those things
Yeah.
that like would I love to do a viral show? Like
Oh,
hell yeah, I
100%,
want to play
yeah.
with these guys as
Yeah.
much as possible.
Yeah.
But the real thing is coming back shortly, and I think we've sort of waited out long enough that at this point we're just gonna wait to get back on the stage in front of fans.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, with all the big festivals and tours that have been announced for the summer and the fall, I think it's all go at this point.
Yeah.
It's like it just needs to. I think it just needs to happen. I feel like that's enough
We're
of the.
inching our way there.
So close.
Yeah, exactly. So I know, like with you guys, you're more on the emo alternative end, not so much pop punk. So I'm curious, like, where does the pop punk come in for you guys, as far as like influence and things like that? Where does your
As far as influence, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, we have our whole thing. We've all wanted like to start pop punk because we love pop punk bands.
Mhm.
The thing is, the music we just wrote turned more into like an emo anthem rock, which we're all fans of as well.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, my favorite band of all time is the Wonder Years,
Mhm.
and I grew up like when I was like a little kid. I literally went out and got like From Under the Cork Tree,
Mhm.
and I love like the early Panic at the Disco and listening to 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge on
Oh,
like
yeah.
my iPod. Like that was the type of stuff that we all listened to, growing up. And then, we have our branches, but that was, that was where the pop punk sort of thing came into our minds. Cause I mean, I know you're a big Mayday Parade
Yeah,
fan.
huge Mayday fan.
oh,
and,
okay.
stuff like that. Yeah, it's straight up like Mayday. Knuckle Puck. I do like the what were the other ones? Real Friends, like those bands. Like Warped Tour essentially. If you think of Warped Tour, that's us.
Yeah. They come through.
Yeah.
But we all have like different types of influences too. Like I grew up like my dad played 80s heavy metal and stuff
Mhm.
like that, and
Yeah.
you like
Listen to
Breaking
like a
Bad.
lot of like new metal and that kind of stuff.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
in middle school. And then these guys introduced me to like all the pop punk bands like the Wonder Years and stuff.
Mhm.
Um,
And then me and Eric are the big like the Meshuggah and Periphery.
I like that too.
Eric,
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, Eric, how about you? Where does pop punk fit into your life?
Yeah, I think it was pretty much everything I listened to at the time of starting the band, and I would also say it's the reason that I wanted to, play in a full band again, because we used to always play with each other when we were like 12, 13 years old, and then me and Jenks started doing like acoustic gigs, but we always had the itch to get a full band back together, and now we're all older, we could play at bars and whatnot. But around that time, I was listening to a lot of the Wonder Years, Story So Far, State Champs. And then I think what happened was we tried to write music like that. And then the more we wrote, the more we just kind of wrote stuff that wasn't that. And I think it just, instead of fighting it, we kind of just let it happen and ended up where we are now.
That is the key right there. Is not fighting that.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and just letting it letting it flow, you know, not stopping it and being like, this doesn't sound like the story so far. That's not what I wanted. Like
Yeah.
it's you gotta break past that point and find your sound and it sounds like you guys are constantly working on that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point we even what'd you say?
I was just saying, like, I think the sound that we were coming up with, like you said, not fighting it. We didn't just like not fight it. Like we kind of leaned into it because
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff we were writing just came so like not like easy, but like it was an easier process than it was to try and write. Because we have some songs that we've never released that were more pop punk songs, and the songs that we put out and the songs that we thought were good were much more along the lines of what we did. And then those pop punk songs,
That we
they
tried
didn't
to
make the
do.
cut because
Yeah.
they just weren't. They weren't us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot comes back to Nick
Yeah, I was gonna say
saying,
too.
is this really you guys?
Yeah.
Are you guys really pop punk?
Yeah, we have him to thank for a lot of that too. In terms
Yeah.
of like the first time around when we sat down with Nick, he was like, I remember him asking us like who, you know, maybe we would imagine our music would be played along with, or who we would tour with, or something like that along those lines. And we named, like, at that time we were thinking like, oh, like, you know, like pop punk bands, we would name a bunch. And at the end of that first session, it was only like a 3-day session with him. We came out and was like, okay, so it's not that. Like, yeah, it was definitely. I'm happy with everything, you know, how everything's turned out and the way our sound has turned. You know,
Yeah.
I'm so stoked about it.
Yeah, I think at this point we even make it a point to do the opposite. So
Yeah.
now at this point we try to not sound like
Yeah.
anybody. We kinda just
I
took
mean,
that around.
that's super important, you know. So, what do you guys fit into like any? What are some like pop punk stereotypes that you think actually aren't stereotypes, or any stereotypes that you fit into? You know what I mean? Like when it comes to, you know, like being the what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I guess stereotype, obviously. I was trying to think of an example, but I can't think of one.
Huh?
Do you guys know what I mean?
I mean,
Yeah,
I get it.
like
Yeah.
goofy, like we're kind of goofy. I feel like that's
Okay.
kind of a
Yeah,
pop
yeah,
punk thing.
Yeah.
I think for how dark some of our lyrics and music is, like our personalities, like are
Completely
not
different.
that.
Yeah.
Like, someone probably like here's glum and like, damn, these dudes are sad, and we are
Yeah.
sad. But we're very much upbeat too. Like this is like
Yeah.
a normal time with us is just like
You-
joking around.
Yeah.
You could coin that somehow. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
emo songs, pop punk attitude, or pop punk goofiness, or
Yeah, I can
something.
see on the button now.
Oh yeah. Nice
Something
to-
along something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. There
Yeah,
you
man.
go. Awesome. Well, we're getting close to time, so anything that else you guys want to plug, or I know obviously you can't announce like a release date yet for this new EP, but maybe there's something else that you could fill us in on before, you know. But I'm
Yeah.
sure that like there's going to be a single coming soon, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the works. I know I can give away some things, I guess. We do have some new merch in the works, which we're excited about. And this is merch like pre-release of possibly the next cycle. So it would be like maybe a summer thing. I think we're looking at maybe doing like a couple of summer days of the Maguas. You might see that coming up soon. Because we now we have some time together with the summer and stuff like that. And Eric just finished law school. We're super proud of him for that.
Dude, law school. Congratulations,
Oh,
man.
thank you.
For him. We're so proud of him. Love you, Eric. Mwah.
So real quick. So you graduated law school. Now do you have to take the bar exam? Is that how that works?
Yeah, that's 2 months from now.
Okay.
Just to get licensed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hell, getting through law school alone is quite a mountain. So good for you, man. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just you know.
Did you did you focus?
Like you do. Like,
Yeah, you're making it sound like it's no big deal. But what did you focus on a certain type of law, or was
No,
it just kind of
not really.
general?
Yeah, it's all pretty general. You could maybe specialize a little bit, but I think a lot of that comes from postgraduate experience because, you can only do so much in like an internship or learn so much in a class.
That's true.
I didn't have any I didn't have too many strong interest. But
That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sorry, I didn't I didn't
no,
mean to
you're
cut
fine.
you off
No,
about
that's-
talking about the new merch and things like that.
Yeah. We're just we're kind of cruising into the summer with. We have a lot of stuff that we'll probably be posting a lot of behind the scenes stuff soon because we have some videos that we still have to shoot for extra content and things like that. We're trying to ramp up our TikTok game, so those of you on TikTok follow us, we're working on it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to kind of see how this summer goes with other bands and their releases. I've been kind of waiting for like that next big release, I guess. I just assumed that with COVID and everything, a lot of bands would be in the studio recording all the time. And since January, I've been kind of sitting around waiting for something to like really blow me away, so I'm excited to see what the summer brings me. I'm always looking for the next like hit song. I'm ready to go. So
Same here.
I think you'll hear a lot more like of our announcements of our new stuff coming in the next like month or two,
right?
Because then things will be a little bit more set in stone, and we can finally the beast that we've been working on in our
100%.
laboratory.
It's coming soon. Coming really soon.
So, but for right now, we're sort of just finishing up the cycle for One of Us is Lying.
Awesome. Well, I cannot wait. I can't wait to hear it. And Brittany says, "Great show, guys. Great meeting the band and Daddy." She says. That is going to be like the running joke. I hope.
You need to have Nick on the podcast.
That would be awesome. I really hope that someone hears this podcast and contacts Nick to work with him and addresses him as Daddy in that first initial contact, to be like, "Hey, so I hear you like to be called Daddy," and just see what And he's gonna be like, "Where did you hear that?" It was the Maguas. It was them. Oh, goodness.
Thanks so much, Brittany.
Yeah, Brittany.
Yeah, great meeting you.
Everybody stopped in. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Well, what is the best place for people to stay updated on everything that's going to be released from the Maguas?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say
Instagram.
Instagram is probably our number one in terms of like communication, because we do a bunch of polls on there. Facebook just doesn't push out our stuff as much, which is just Facebook, how it works.
Yeah.
And yeah, Instagram is definitely number one.
Instagram, Twitter
we'll tweet out all the time.
Then Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube. We post a lot of stuff that the content's going to be on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And Maguas.
That's
If you're
right.
looking how to spell it.
Yes.
Maguas, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, you heard it here first. That's how you say it.
Yeah.
That's how it's spelt. All that
Yeah,
fun
yeah.
stuff. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, Eric, Matt, Dalton, and Brandon, thank you guys for being on the podcast.
Josh, thank you so much for having us. It was a blast.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad that we could make this happen. So I really appreciate your time, and looking forward to hearing that new EP.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, man.
All right, thanks guys. Have a great night.
Yep.
Peace out.
Thank you. Peace.
Peace. All right, thank you so much once again to the Maguas for being on Pop Punk and Pizza for this episode. I'm Jacques Lamour. Thank you so much for being here as well and downloading this podcast. Now, just know, in case you missed the memo, we do stream our episodes live each and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Time on our Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube accounts. So make sure you go follow those, so that way you can catch when we're going live. And if you don't catch one of the live podcasts, it's no big deal, because the following day, every Thursday, we release that episode to all the podcast platforms. So you can go ahead and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those big ones that you can think of. Pop Punk and Pizza is on them. Or, of course, you can catch up on previous episodes at poppunkpizzapod.com. You can also sign up for our mailing list there. There's merch. There's a form that you can fill out if you want to submit your band to possibly be a guest or to have your music played on the podcast as well. And you can also find out how you can sponsor an episode, just like Pop Punk Takeout is sponsoring today's episode, which Pop Punk Takeout is a new subscription service where every single month this pizza box in my hand, if you're watching the video for this, it will show up at your doorstep, and it will be filled with tons of amazing merch from different pop punk bands from all over the world. Just to give you an example, once again, the first box that they sent me had a koozie in it from a band called Out of Time, as well as one of their CDs. And then I even got vinyl from a band called Bambies, which is on Rita Records. And then you get cool stickers like this Off Guard sticker as well. So all these cool things you can get monthly in this subscription. So you can learn more and sign up at poppunktakeout.com. You can also follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Pop Punk Takeout. And there's also a Spotify playlist where you can check out what these bands sound like before fully diving in and committing to buying their merch, which I would highly suggest because all of these bands are top-notch, especially Out of Time. They've actually been on the podcast before. So poppunktakeout.com to make sure you check all of that out. And once again, if you are interested in sponsoring an episode of Pop Punk and Pizza, just go to poppunkpizzapod.com to learn all the details on that. So have a great rest of your night if you happen to be watching the live stream, or if you're listening to the episode on any of the podcast platforms. Thanks for being here. Now, the next time we do meet, our guest, I was right, is going to be Off Guard. So that'll be Wednesday, May 26th with Off Guard. And once again, live on our Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube accounts. And then the podcast episode will be available the following day, Thursday, on all platforms. So I will talk to you next Wednesday here on Pop Punk and Pizza. Have a great night.
Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya.